Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining into this session. I'm Joyce Christina, and I'll be your host for the day. We have joined here to have this online talk on research and development by Mr. Shivaji Chakravorti as a part of our Education Society's newest initiative, ACES. This session is going to be informative and the things which the speaker is going to share with us will be useful in your academical and professional careers as well. So I hope you gain the best of your knowledge and make this session as productive as possible. ACES is mainly focused to bring delegates from around the world and connect on a single platform so that we can get an exposure to the world. Not only anything related to academical, but ACES is also focusing on many technical related topics, and you have also got a chance to connect with global leaders. With no further ado, I request Mr. Anjaneyulu Devrashetty to introduce the speaker to the meeting.
Hello everyone, am I audible to you all?
Yes, yes.
Professor Shivaji Chakravorti, IC Professor of Electrical Engineering at Jayadevpur University and former Director of NIT Calcutta and former Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering. Sir is the Vice President of Indian National Academy of Engineering. Sir, it's very good to connect with you, sir. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Over to you, sir.
Okay, so then I will start the presentation. So let me see. What's happening? Okay. I think it should come now. Is something coming on the screen? Is it coming? Okay, great. So now it is all set. So thank you very much for inviting me to this fourth session of the IEEE ACES. Now, the title that I have chosen for this talk, you can see on your screen, Promoting Research and Innovation in the Contemporary Times. Now, at the very outset, I make it clear that this talk is not specific to any particular stream or area or domain. It is a very generic presentation that I am going to make on research and innovation. And I start with this particular aspect, and I am very much focused on this, that, let us accept that India is not a leading manufacturing nation at present. But there is one important thing that is fact, that India is one of the leading countries where we have exceptional design talent pool. In fact, 20% of the world's design engineers, they work in global teams as well as independently in India. This data, 20% is not counting the Indians who are working abroad. That's a big number. So which means that we are quite good in designing, but then why we are not a leading manufacturers in the global scenario? So it is high time that we move from design to manufacturing. And in this aspect, innovative research is going to play a big role. So that's my main focus. And this is my view. You can agree to it, you may disagree to it. I believe that if I have to use anything, I have to make it. Because if I cannot make it, I cannot use it. And there comes the issue of manufacturing. And that's why you can see the nation's focus on Make in India slogan. And then why innovation? Now, this particular slide is very favorite of mine. Now, what happens in common, most commonly, that all of us, whatever we are doing, what we generally try to do is that whatever we have done yesterday, tomorrow I'll try to improve on it. I mean, that's not bad. That's quite acceptable. But think of it that I have a candle and I am improving that candle. So what I will get? I will get an improved candle. I will not get an electric light or electric bulb from that. So that's the concept of innovation. We need continuous improvement, no doubt. But at the same time, we need innovation to come out with something new which was not there yesterday. And in this context, particularly in Indian context, this term is very important. What is called frugal innovation. Now, frugal, if you look into the dictionary, you will see the meaning that less cost or less money involved. But frugal innovation in Indian context is slightly different. We know that our institutions, our organizations, we have a lot of limitations. These limitations are in resources, financial, material, or institutional limitation. What this frugal innovation try to do using different types of methodology turns this constraint into an advantage. And in this context, successful frugal innovations which have been done are not only low cost, but they very often outperform the alternative. That means which are already there. But that's not all. To be successful in the commercial arena, these frugal innovations should be made available at a large scale. Because if that is not there, then commercial success is always questionable. But then what it takes to do frugal innovation, that's another aspect. A very important aspect is observation. I don't know how many of you know Richard Feynman. Richard Feynman is arguably one of the most brilliant physicists. And he once said, the first line that I have written here, quoting Richard Feynman, is of course a Nobel laureate in the last century. He said that observation, reason, and experiment make up what we call the scientific method. So basically, what he tried to mention is that we generally observe something, that something is happening around us. Then we try to reason that, okay, why is it happening? And if we can reason that properly, then we try to do some sort of experiments to validate our reasoning. And then this process, observation, reasoning, and experiment, it becomes the scientific method. It's a very philosophical way of presentation. It comes after a lifetime of spent in scientific world. But to a very general term, we can say that in our professional life, in our practical life, everything need not be told to us, explained to us. It happens only probably in colleges or universities where things are being explained. What actually is needed is that many things that goes around us, we have to observe those things, learn, and act accordingly. So therefore, innovation, it requires theoretical knowledge, it requires experimental knowledge, but that's not all. It also requires knowledge which is gathered by the logical observation of processes. Now, these processes could be natural processes or man-made processes. Nowadays, everything comes with a tagline, an advertisement, or whatever. So I also tried to follow a similar way approach. So at the bottom is my tagline that innovation does not fall from tree. I mean, whatever stories you have heard, those are stories. So innovation comes through knowledge and then proper logical observation. Now, another very important aspect that plays a big role in this research and innovation is this, that whether I'm listening or I'm hearing, this is very important. There is a very subtle difference between these two. Now, let me give you an example that when two of the people, say two friends, most of the time when we talk, think about it, how we react. Probably 70% of the time, I start answering my friend before he or she has completed the sentence. Just think about it whether I'm telling something wrong. Now, why is it so? It is because we feel that we have already understood what the other person is stating. Now, that's not a very good quality. It doesn't help. In fact, I have seen that somebody who listens to others' views is not only valued by the others, but they also share their ideas. And in effect, listening patiently very often helps in getting new ideas. That has happened for me, that has happened for others who listen to the others very patiently. So that is another quality that is needed if I have to be successful in research and innovation. All of us talk about research insight. Now, what is this insight? If somebody asks me, then always I feel very uncomfortable. Really, what is an insight? Well, in dictionary or in some books, there will be a lot of explanation, then a lot of things will be written. I am going to tell you a story. This is a real life story happened during the Second World War. Second World War can be divided into two parts. In the first part, the uh, Germans were winning, and in the second part, of course, Germans lost. And this story is on during the first part when Germans were winning. And you also probably are aware that British Ireland was never occupied by the Germans. So British Ireland was always under the Allied forces control. So what British and the others were trying to do, they were sending airplanes to bomb the German areas. But then Germans were also shooting. So what was happening that these Allied forces, they were sending, say, 20 airplanes, only 10 are returning back and 10 are lost. And this was a big loss for them. So there was a big meeting with military generals. They collected a lot of data studying those aircrafts which has come back. And they found that certain areas of the airplanes which has come back, a lot of bullet holes are there. So there was a general consensus that If we reinforce these areas, then probably it will be better. Very interestingly, in that meeting, Abraham Wald was present and he was a mathematician. He said that I look into this data, what you are studying, in a different way. He said, look, you are studying 10 airplanes which have come back, which means that even when the bullet holes were there in those parts, these airplanes could come back. What happened to the other 10 airplanes which could not come back? They were hit in the other area, which were the weaker play. So let us reinforce those areas, not these areas. And that was the decision taken in that meeting, and the entire history of World War changed. Now, this is called insight. The same thing, people can look in different ways. And that's why my tagline here at the bottom is that developing domain insight leads to innovation. Well, it's not that easy, but as I said, if we follow certain processes like observation, reasoning, and experimentation, these domain insights slowly is being obtained or built in. Nowadays, you will be hearing a lot, probably in the coming decade, that is need of critical thinking. And in this, there is a term called design thinking. Now, what is design thinking? I will try to explain in a very simple terms that it's a process of problem solving. Now, any process of problem solving has to start from somewhere. So where do I start? I start by understanding the customer needs which have not been met so far. That's the important part. And then if I understand that, so from that, a process of innovation will start, and there will be four parts in that. First, there will be concept development. Then there will be creativity, but just not creativity, it is applied creativity. Then you have to do some sort of prototyping. And on those prototypes, we have to do the experimentation. This is the process of innovation that is called design thinking. And this can be applied to any area, whatever area you are, software, hardware, it doesn't matter. If these approaches are applied or linked to business, it already has been proved that the success rate of the innovation improves substantially. And not only that, translational research, that means transfer of institutional research to market becomes feasible. And these are the areas where not only the government of India, but the private industries, everybody is focusing now. And for this, there is a approach now which is called cooperate, co-create, and co-execute. Now, cooperate, we all know. What is co-creation? Co-creation is basically cooperating with partners in the concept development and decision making. Now, once a decision has been made, that means co-created with the partners, then we have to co-execute by proper handholding of the partners. Now, this process is properly done along with the previously explained design thinking. The overall success rate of research and innovation really improves. Now, somebody asks me that this sort of partnering can be different. For example, I want to partner with a large entrepreneur. Then what can I do? Well, we can take inputs on cutting edge problems, what these large entrepreneurs are facing, and we can provide solutions to them. And if I am partnering with a small entrepreneur, then what we can do, we can give frugal innovation inputs to them so that they can do more with less. Now, stating all that, I'll now come to a little bit of structured sort of thing that if I have to do a research, I don't know how many of you are presently in research, but some of you maybe will go into research. It might be academic research, it might be industrial research. So what are the different phases of research work? Again, not limited to any particular domain. I have tried to present it in a very bullet form. That first phase is called the planning phase. Because once a concept has been developed, which I have told earlier, then we have to think that a solution to that particular concept can be obtained in various approaches. So we have to consider all of them, evaluate them, and finally come to a decision that, well, let us use this approach. Once we have done that, we go into the design phase. That means in the planning phase, of course, we have collected information. So what we can take it, what we can do now, we can specify the instrumentation needed. We can write down the details of the configuration of the experimental processes. But that is not all. Very important thing is that now a test plan has to be identified. And once a test plan has been identified, then we have to take a decision that I have to take the data, but what will be the different ranges of conditions to be run? Because that saves a lot of time, which is very important for timely output giving of research. So that's the bottom line, is that in this design phase, properly time-stamped milestone map is to be prepared. That means I should make a map that after 2 months I will do this, after 3 months, 4 months this. Well, people can always ask that if you already know that after 3 months I will reach this, then I mean, why research? We already know it. No, answer is that this is a timestamp map. We may not reach it, but then we know how much we are lacking so that we can plan subsequently. And once this design is done, we have to make the construction. Now for that, first of all, we have to procure the equipment, procure the instruments. And one advice here is that don't take any instrument in its face value. Always ask about the calibration. Because if the instruments are not properly calibrated, all results are wrong. Now, calibration can be done in many different ways. That's, I mean, you can find out those ways and means, but please do it. And another advice is that always consider the availability of space. I have seen in my life in a very big institution, one equipment was bought, very expensive, but then they found that the space that they have allocated for that equipment is not enough. So that very expensive equipment was lying idle for 6 months. Now, once the construction phase is done, we move on to the debugging phase. And here I always jokingly tell my computer science friends that, look, you are not the only person who do the debugging. We also do the debugging as pure electrical or mechanical engineering. So what we do, that we have a test plan already decided. So we do some initial runs using the experimental setup with the apparatus that we have procured. And then the unexpected problems are to be addressed. And here I say that always expect the unexpected. The experimental work will give rise to something unexpected. So there might be some redesigning, there might be some changes in the experimental setup, but then that is the debugging process. Once the debugging process is over, we do the execution. So we do the entire test plan, whatever you have finalized, we collect the data, save it. Then we go into the data analysis phase. Nowadays, we have n number of tools for doing very good data analysis, and Indians particularly are extremely good in data analysis. But advise on two aspects, that please do repeatability study. We are not good at this. For example, I get a result which is very promising, and immediately I get very excited. I start writing a paper or something. What we have to do is we have to perform the same test using the same apparatus on multiple days, different days. And we have to see whether we are getting the results as a repeatable results. Believe me, in simulation, if your inputs are same, you will get always the same output. Not in experiment. Same experiment done on multiple days, you will get some variation. So that variation should not be very wide. Then it is called a repeatable result. Any repeatable result is always acceptable. Then what is called reproducibility? Now you have got something very brilliant result. I mean, others are not going to accept it as a brilliant result unless you prove it scientifically. So first we have to prove it by repeatability, and then reproducibility means the similar experiment has to be done by somebody else in a different lab, and the result should be very close to each other. So this is the sort of scientific approach. If we follow, then nobody can challenge whatever our research output is. And finally, of course, the reporting phase. It could be in many different forms, like research papers, like thesis, like a book, or like a patent, intellectual property right, and so on. Now I come to some useful tips. This is purely from my own life's experience. I don't think you will get it from Google search. The first aspect is language. Now, do we require a very flowery language, like, a novel type language? No, we don't need that. What we need is meaning of the sentence should be clear. Try to have minimal grammatical error as far as possible. And these sentences should be to the point, and it should cover all the points. Now, whatever I have said here is not that easy, but we have to learn it. I mean, it is possible to learn. In what areas we can do research? There are a lot of areas. So I have suggested something here, that to work in some niche areas, that means where nobody are working. If you are successful, that could lead to a startup probably in future. A lot of focus is today on non-invasive diagnostic. That means it's like the ECG of our heart, where the heart is not open. Some devices or electrodes are connected up from outside, and we get the results. So for equipment health, we can design some diagnostic processes which should be non-invasive. That means we don't open the equipment. From the material side, yes, a lot of work can be done, but that also requires a lot of money because material research is very intensive on the equipments, which are very expensive. But we can also develop novel devices. That's not expensive. By using very simple microprocessors, small technological aspects, we can devise novel devices. And nowadays, a lot of focus is on wearable devices, so we can work on that. And then, as I said, improvement of the existing process. That means to address specific problems of the existing processes. Definitely, we have to work on that, and the country needs it. Now, everybody says that we have to maintain high standard in research. Now, a research niche area where nobody is working, it is very needed to become really some successful, not only in just a startup, but even in academic area. But one caution here is that we have to keep it in mind that some niche areas are untouched, probably because they are inconsequential. We have to be very careful about that. Otherwise, our research will be wastage of time. Secondly, maintaining highest standard in research and of course improve upon it. For that, we need a mindset to embark in an uncharted direction where nobody has gone. We have to be ready to do that. And for this purpose, we should not only listen to the buzz in the market, but we have to brainstorm, get feedback on the strengths and skills necessary for that, and get opinion from the experienced people about the opportunities. If we do all that, probably we will come out with some very good innovation. This is a favorite meme, a research meme. Those who are in the research areas love it. If you are not in the research area, probably difficult for you to understand. It's like a ghost trying to make a researcher afraid. So you can see the ghost says, boo, researcher is not afraid. Then again, ghost said, boo, not afraid. Then again, not afraid. Lastly, the ghost said, I am reviewer number 3. And the researcher is highly afraid. Now, here the catch is that reviewer number 3 means most of our papers are reviewed by 2 people. If one says good, one says bad, then it goes to the third reviewer. If the third reviewer says bad, your work is out. So reviewer number 3 is always, people are very afraid of them. So this is a research beam. I like it. I wanted to show you a few practical tips. You write something, send it to some journal or some magazine, and it gets rejected. Should I get disappointed? The answer is yes, it feels bad. But we should not get disappointed because a reputed journal or a reputed magazine, each and every article will not be accepted. Otherwise, it is not a reputed journal or reputed magazine. So what we have to do, we have to accept whatever the comments that the reviewers have given, improve upon it, and we can resubmit it. This is a process of research and innovation through which all of us have to go. So important things that I have learned, I must read papers or write articles from good journals in my field. Very important. Please don't read trash journals or trash articles, trash magazines. That's useless wastage of time. So I need to read, I need to follow and learn. And over the years, this has helped me to develop my own style. And if I am passionate enough, it is very exciting, I tell you. But yes, I should enjoy doing good research. That is the fundamental aspect. One very, suggestion from my own life's experience. This is called pacing one's life. Now, this is a group of audience where you are maybe at an age group of maybe 30 or less. So you will be working till 60, 65, so another 30, 35 years. Now, say for example, I am running a race which is only 100 meters in Olympics or somewhere. So how I run? From the beginning to finish, I run at the high speed to win the race. But if I want to run 10 kilometers, and if I run in the same way, that at my maximum speed, I will not win 10-kilometer race. What I have to do is I have to run at a good uniform speed and still have energy that at the end I can accelerate. Our life is like that. It's a long distance race. So we have to keep on maintaining a good standard year on year. And still we should have energy that we can accelerate when it matters. This is called pacing one's lives. I mean, this is my experience, so I tried to share it with you. And another aspect that I have learned in my life is that consistency pays in the long run. Now, here is an example. Take the example that 1 to the power 365. The answer is 1. 1.01 to the power 365. The answer is 37.78. Now, what does it mean? 1 to the power 365 means I am doing nothing extra, same thing every day. So at the end of the year, I am exactly in the same position where I started. 1.01 means I am doing 1% extra every day. But that is every day. That's the important part. Then at the end of the year, I am 37 or 38 times better than where I was at the beginning. This is called consistency. That means a very small amount let us do every day. I mean, who is stopping us to do that? Nobody. It's only us. We are stopping us. So one should never stop performing, even if by a small amount, because in the aggregate, it will be significant over a period of time. This is my last slide. You are all hearing that knowledge is power today. So I tried to explain it in this way, that look at that poor man, that water is written 9 kilometers on the left side. So the poor man is going in that direction. Whereas on the right side, it is written H2O, 50 meters on the right side. But this poor man is going to the left side because lack of knowledge. So knowledge is power, and in today's world, that matters. So thank you very much for giving this opportunity to this audience. I will be very happy if you have any questions. So please feel free to ask any questions.
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Uh, So actually, I have a question. Usually, while studying BTech, some students will uh, pursue electrical or mechanical core engineering, and later
Yes.
moving on in the MTech, they might jump into information technology or computer science engineering and
Yes.
domains of that kind.
Yes.
So, what is the scope for uh, taking on research from jumping from core engineering into the technological side of engineering perspectives?
Uh, I don't know whether I've understood very clearly the question. See, first of all, my experience have shown that people who are studying in, say, electrical, mechanical, or that sort of area, they go into IT not for research, they mostly go for jobs. Particularly in the research area, when they go into domains like maybe nanotechnology or maybe high-end communication or maybe signal processing. Well, that makes sense. I mean, people should go into that direction because when you go into, see, let me tell you one thing. Bachelor degree typically we try to prepare the students where your breadth, breadth of the knowledge will be higher, because you don't know that where you will end up after your bachelor's degree. So you should be prepared to face all the possibilities. Whereas when you go into research, you are more focused in a more narrow area. So there you go deeper into the area. And typically people do that. Well, nowadays, of course, you can argue there is a tendency people going to artificial intelligence, machine learning, but there are a lot of questions here also that what really we are doing. Are we doing really some serious research, or just, trying to use some tools that are available? If we are using tools, that's not research. So, I mean, one has to be careful. That's what I can add.
Thank you, sir. And guys, if you have any more doubts, you can ask in or you can type in the chat box as well. Sir is open to answer your questions.
See, I don't know, just one moment. What I can see here is first, Sony is asking in research, what do you consider to be the best paperwork? I don't understand. What do you mean by paperwork? Can you really explain? Best paperwork means? Anyway, I really didn't understand the question. Then next one, Adari Praveen, how can I do research on drones like lithium batteries, flight controllers, and sensors? All this costs so much. Yes, I mean, this is what I am saying. See, this is, I was trying to say, frugal way of working, because we have resources, I mean, limitations of resources. All of us have it. So we don't go into something where we need or where the resources needed are very high. So try to find out, for that you need to read a little bit, that which area is promising, at the same time which area you can do within your limited resources. That requires a little bit of help also. For a very young person, it's difficult, but some supervision is needed, and then it is possible. So what I suggest to Adari Praveen is that do a little bit of study the background of the areas, then try to find out exactly where is the gap in the existing knowledge and which gap can be bridged using the resources that you have. We cannot bridge all the gaps that are available. So that is very important, that how we attack the problem which can be addressed using our limited resources. So that's the advice I can give you at this point of time. But Sony, I don't, in your point, that what you understand or what you meant by paperwork. Anybody else? Anyway? No. How does a good research paper look like? Okay. That's a question. Just a moment. First, let me tell Adari's question. See, a research paper has certain sections. It starts with a title, then there will be an abstract, very small abstract, maybe 100 words. Then there will be an introduction, which will give the background of the work and what we are going to do, maybe about 600, 700 words. Then the methodology part, that means what is the methodology that we are going to follow. The next section is that what are the experimentation or what are the test runs that you have done. It could be software, it could be hardware. Then the next section goes into the data analysis, finally the conclusions. So this is how it looks like. I hope I could give you some idea about that. Now let me see, Thalapati is saying, sir, as a student, we are not much aware of, but this we will learn about it. As well as, can you suggest me some research sites on AI and ML? See, there are a lot of sites, so I cannot straight away give you this, but look into the IEEE, what should I say, that Computer Society site. You will get enough of this. Then Anjana is saying how my research paper will be considered for the publication. Good. Now here my answer to is that, see, as I said, I have already given you an outline how to write the paper. And once you write it, you submit that to the journal or the magazine. Then what happens? The editor of the journal or the magazine sends your article, your paper to reviewers. Reviewers are the experienced people in the domain. So they will go through your article or paper and they will raise questions. And there are three types of replies you will get. That, well, this paper is good, can be accepted, but here there are some questions. Then they will say there is some major revision required. So they will suggest what are the revisions required. And the third one is very unfortunate. They will say this paper is not of good quality and it is rejected. So if it is the first two, that there are some revisions required, there will be some questions to be answered. If you get that, then you should be very happy, try to answer those questions. Probably then it will be accepted for publication. That's how it goes. Then again, Thalapati is asking, also suggests the mode of designing research paper and main points to add up. So basically, what you are trying to say is that how to write a research paper. Well, that in fact is another lecture. Many times I give it that, but it's very difficult in a very short time to say that. What I will try to say is that always try to find out that what is the research gap or the gap in the knowledge that you are trying to address. And try to present in your article or paper that this is the methodology I have followed by which I have bridged this gap. And why I have bridged this gap? Because these are the benefits. If you can really do it, then your paper will be or your article will be accepted. But this is something you have to learn over the years. Just it doesn't happen in 6 months or one year. It takes time. But try to keep up with it. You will learn it. We all learned it. All of us were not born with those ideas. We all learned by hard work. So best wishes if you go into those areas. Any other? We have a couple of minutes more. No? Okay. Then I think I should thank you very much. Okay, what is it? No. A research paper cannot be a generic type, Thalapati. A research paper has to be very, very pinpointed that this is my problem and this is the solution. There cannot be any sort of like universal dimension. Don't go into those directions. What is Adari asking, sir? Your research works. See, my research works. If I am giving my website. This is my personal website. I hope you will go into it, you will get it, the entire thing. As a student, what are the main points she must concentrate on? Now, this is a very, very debatable issue nowadays. See, what I always try to say is that, see, whatever the curriculum that you are following, that has been designed with some goal in mind. And I'm talking about undergraduate. See, what happens in the undergraduate, you miss something, or you don't give enough importance to something, or you feel, okay, later on I will compensate. See, what happens later on, I tell you. You join a job, then job pressure is so much that you don't find any time to learn those things which you have missed in your undergraduate course. You go to a master's degree, there the teachers will think that undergraduate you already know. They will never explain those things. So again, you miss out. Or for example, if you go into some MBA or this sort of course, then things are completely different. So whatever you miss out on undergraduate, you miss out. This is a fact. So your job today is to go through your courses. Please do it seriously. You will be benefiting. Believe me, you will be benefiting. Most of us are not doing these things. And later on, we say, oh, we could have done that better at that time. But time is up. Uh, that's how it. So my suggestion is, whatever your job today at hand, please do it. I think the time is up now. So let's close the session. So I hope you get some benefit out of this 1 hour session. Even one person get benefit, I feel very, very, happy about that.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your insightful thoughts, your experiences with us. And I hope whoever students have joined into this session would make this a productive one and apply it in your career as well. Now I hand over the session to Sony to convey the vote of thanks and present memento to our guest speaker. Sony?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, please continue.
Yes. I, Sony Program Lead, take the privilege to propose vote of thanks on behalf of IEEE Education Society YP Committee and IEEE Professional Communication Society YP Committee. And I thank Mr. Shivaji Chakravorti sir for delivering a talk on research and development. I would like to take a moment to express our gratitude to Mr. Shivaji Chakravorti sir for answering our attendees' queries. Sincere gratitude to IEEE Education Society and IEEE Professional Communication Society team for making this event a successful one. On this note, I would like to present a token of appreciation. Is my screen visible?
Yes, Sony.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
So on
You,
this note, I would like to take a moment to express our gratitude to Mr. Shivaji sir for sharing his experience and insightful session on research. Sir stated that innovation comes through knowledge. Sir also explained about design thinking, maintaining high standards in research. Steps of research include planning, design, construction, debugging. Sir, thank you for giving us your time. I would like to appreciate all the volunteers for contributing their time, making this event possible. I thank all the participants for being patiently with us till the end. Once again, thank you for your time and participation. We hope that now you have got the clear picture of research and development on what Sir has shared with us. Last but not least, thank you all for being a part of this wonderful session and looking forward to seeing you at our future events. Your presence and engagement made it a great success. Thank you and thank you, Sir.
Thank you. Take care, all of you. Best wishes.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, Sony, for presenting the moment and conveying the vote of thanks. To make this moment count, I would request everybody to turn on your camera so that we can take a virtual photograph of the event. I request everyone to turn on your cameras.
It has to be stop sharing.
Yeah. Sony, you can stop sharing because you have to click the.
Yeah.
So, guys, I would click it in on a count of three. Three, two, and one. Sony, did you get it? Hello, Raj, did you get it?
Yes, Joyce.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, everybody, for giving your valuable time to us and paying heed to this session. And I would request Mr. Anjaneyulu Devarashetty to take over the session for organizing networking activities.
Thank you. So now I'm leaving the meeting.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah,